Hello, and welcome to episode 62 of Expertise is Overrated, the podcast that takes the time to answer the questions you didn't know you didn't want the answers to. I'm Vib.
And I'm Sean, and neither of us has any clue what we're talking about.
Here we are again. We just released an episode where my audio was shit again. 2 episodes in a row, which I think ties your record for shit audio.
I think that's probably true. Yeah, I had 2 episodes where my webcam was recording the audio.
Yeah, because it wasn't because it moved. Reason. Actually, it was like it happened a bit later than that. I think for whatever reason. I don't know if you ever really figured out what happened.
I never worked out quite what it was. No,
but you fixed it.
Yeah,
I blame OBS. The one time we tried to record video, which so far has turned out to be a complete waste of time.
That seems to have broken
everything.
Everything at all, yeah.
I'm determined to make that work. The original plan was to sort of, maybe release some other content on Clips. YouTube and whatnot, maybe some short format stuff, drawing more followers. We were actually talking about this just before we started recording, right? Our sort of the state of the podcast, state of the union.
State of the union, oh God.
State of the union. And I think the state of the union is pretty stagnant, actually.
Yeah, I think that's a damning but also fair description, sadly.
Yeah, we seem to have amassed a crowd of very loyal listeners, so thank you if you are one of them.
Yes.
And thank you if you're not one of them and you're still listening anyway. Welcome. But yeah, let us know what we
that's
can...
confused. That's just really confused me. Are you thanking our disloyal listeners
our disloyal listeners? No, the people who just tuned in for the first time because they like the sound of this episode,
Oh, I see.
I'm sure it happens, and they probably only listen for a couple of minutes before they decide whether or not they like us, and who can blame them for tuning out right now?
Yeah, no, bye.
Yeah. But yeah, if anybody is listening still and has any thoughts on what we could do to reach a wider audience, I think Sean's mission is to civilize the internet. Mine is to civilize Sean, and I think a wider audience is something we would both benefit from.
Yeah, the suggestion that you're going to civilize me is interesting, and
it's arguably the harder of the two tasks. Yes,
living in a midden, so
yeah,
I'm not quite sure where.
Yeah. I think the issue, Sean, really is that we're just deeply unfunny.
I have been wondering and worrying about this for a while.
I think the listeners we do have just take pity on us and see us as like, support
I also
cases.
Think if you look at the demographics of our sort of most loyal listeners, specifically the age demographic, I think most of our listeners are just our age and predominantly male.
Our age, predominantly male, and with obviously the same interests that we have. I mean, I guess that kind of goes without saying.
Like 2 of them in particular that I know of are just parents, so are really just here for our dad level humour. And I think that might be our limiting factor.
For a second I thought you were suggesting that I'm a parent, which would be news to me. And I'd wonder how you knew that. But no, dad level humour, that makes sense.
I think that's the level to which your humour rises.
It does go that high, it is true.
But I think the question is a good one. If you're listening and you have an idea of how we could reach more listeners who'd be interested in this kind of content, do just let us know, whether email, text, carrier pigeon, Discord, whatever it may be. Let us know what you think would work, because we're keen to hear it.
Carrier pigeon would be disconcerting for many reasons, but I would rate it.
Yeah, I'd be impressed if someone could get a carrier pigeon to one of us.
Absolutely. But as Sean says, let us know. And just feedback in general. Always looking for feedback. We've not been getting too much lately, actually.
I tend to assume if we don't receive any, it's because we're perfect.
It's perfect. No, I assume the same thing. It's not even really an assumption. I think it's just truth.
I categorically undisprovable.
Yeah. Anyway, moving swiftly on, we are talking about something very unfunny today.
This is very serious. We have to put our serious hats on
war.
And talk about it very seriously and take it very seriously.
Nothing but war. War, death. Lots of death, killing, murder.
Mayhem, madness.
It's all quite sad, really. And yet we love it and spend hundreds, if not thousands, of pounds on it.
Yes,
over and over.
Warhammer 40k again, over and over. The cash cow that we keep giving to.
Well, it's funny that you say 40k because actually you sort of started our little script document that we have, and you labelled the folder Legion swapping in 30k, and I got really confused. It's like what? And then obviously it makes sense.
Yeah, I use 40k as the umbrella term, but this is 30k. We're going back to the Horus Heresy, which we've spoken about a few times, and frankly, there's two reasons for this. One, I'm going to say this delicately, it's just more interesting than the current canon because it's just Greek myths with machine guns.
Now then, that might be the most insightful and outrageous thing you've said in a long time.
It's good, isn't it?
That's really good. I might have to write that down. Hang on, give me a second. Keep going. Monologue for a bit. You love doing that.
I've forgotten what I was saying. But I've been on a bit of a Horus Heresy kick recently. You can get most of the books now on Kindle, and I've been reading them off and on. And there's just been a thought niggling away in the back of my head, which is, what could you change? Because obviously the 40k setting, that is the one that we all know, with the Emperor trapped in the Golden Throne, keeping stagnant Imperium going, is pretty hellish. So if you go back to the Horus Heresy as the founding myth, essentially, of the Imperium, and you have that climactic battle where the 9 legions of the Emperor fight the 9 legions of Horus, and it's all very, well, as I said, Greek tragedy-esque. If you move some of the players around, if you take someone from one side and swap them onto the other side, what does that change about the narrative? Now, obviously, you could be boring about this and say, well, if everyone goes to Horus's side, then Horus wins, and if everyone stays on the Emperor's side, then the Emperor wins. And we could be boring and have that conversation. But instead, what we've decided we're going to do is we're going to set ourselves 3 target scenarios, essentially. So in each of these, we can swap 1 loyalist legion with 1 traitor legion, and we'll run through the loyalists and the traitors quickly in a second to just get everyone on the same page. So we can swap 1 person from the loyalists and 1 person from the traitors in each of these. So the first one that we're going to try and do is get a total victory for the Emperor. The second one is a total victory for Chaos. And then the third one, which I think has the potential to be the most, sort of the funniest and the most interesting, is how do we end up in a situation which is somehow not a total Chaos victory? You still get the Imperium that you get in 40k, but somehow everything is just even worse than the writers at Games Workshop have managed to establish. Is that a fair summary of what we're going to try and do?
Oh, I don't know. You talked for so long, I went and made a cup of tea.
I was really hoping that you were just going to interrupt me at some point.
No, because
I sat silent, so I just kept talking.
I sat there, actually, I was kind of silently giggling to myself. Cause like, yeah, he's really on one now. No, I think you actually, to be fair to you, very ably summed up what we are going to talk about. Part of me was thinking maybe I can get him to just do the whole episode on his own and he'll never notice. But who knows? We might still get there. The one thing I would say is if we swapped, I still think actually if you give Horus everyone, I think the Emperor still wins.
I think that's a conversation we need to have later.
Yeah, I think there's a whole episode on. We've sizzled this so many times, right? The discussion on the Emperor, his motives, and what the hell it is.
So
yeah, it is boring.
To define we almost need to define what a total Imperial victory and a total Chaos victory looks like. I guess.
Yeah, before we move on to that, I would challenge that swapping Horus is boring. I actually think you could get scenarios where if you swap Horus, you yeah, it'd be interesting, but we can talk about that.
I think there's something there's absolutely something to that, but that almost comes into the what's our definition of a total chaos victory?
Yeah, and you just have to create a new name. You'd have to call it, I don't know, like the Khan Calamity or something.
Well, there's all sorts of fanfic around like the Dornian Heresy, for example.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Dawn Destruction. Something like that. It's got to be
Dawn Destruction.
Right? You know, that's the
Dornian Devastation.
Dornian Devastation. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
But
that's clearly why they went for Horus in the canon, right? Because they're like, we need some kind of heresy. Who do we go with?
The Khanate Calamity.
Yeah.
I've run out of alliteration. I've also run out of Primarchs I can remember.
The Ferris clusterfuck. I know it's not alliterative, but it's still it works for Ferris somehow.
Ferris is fuck up. Yeah.
Ferris is fucked. Anyway, yes. So yeah,
the Lions Looney Tunes Adventure. No, I'll stop.
I'm gonna make you monologue again if you're not careful. So yeah, define a total. We'll do in the order that you've written it. So define a total Imperial victory.
So I think this is traitors defeated, not necessarily all slain, but defeated categorically, and the Emperor doesn't end up on the Golden Throne. So probably you don't have the Anabasis strike on Horus's warship at the end of the Siege of Terra, or if you do, something about the situation is changed such that the Emperor does not get wounded at the hands of Horus.
See, I'll agree to go with that. I have a theory on why the Emperor wanted to end up like that exactly, but yeah, no, I would agree with that for the purposes of this discussion. The Emperor
for the scenario of the Horus, for the purposes of the Horus Heresy as described in the Horus Heresy books, that is victory.
Yeah.
Horus slain or in chains, and the Emperor still vivacious.
So you say not slain, but I think given that we're dealing with chaos, I think a total Imperial victory has to essentially involve the complete expulsion of any shred of being an identity for any traitor Primarch. As in, get the Horus fate for every single traitor.
We can add that. We can add that because.
But I guess if you beat them, then I think you can easily do that if you're the Emperor. Well, maybe not easily, yeah, exactly. Or Magnus, I'm sure can help.
You need categorical military victory.
Yes,
I think.
Yes.
And the ultimate outcome of what happens to the Primarchs is sort of secondary to that. This is the other point, I suppose, and this is probably a conversation we should have. If you get the Primarch, do you necessarily get the Legion and vice versa? I'm assuming that you do.
Well, there's potentially debates to be had depending on the Legion, but I think by and large, yes.
Yeah, I'm just... Because obviously the episode is about swapping legions, but, you know, the Primarchs are not...
Well, I mean...
just the Legion.
That's the thing. Well, the way I interpret it is you were switching Primarchs, right? Because
switching Primarchs and the Legions will follow. I think that's fair.
Yeah, but I guess the issue is that the Legions didn't all go 100% one way, right? Not necessarily. Like the Lunar Wolves had infighting. The Dark Angels, of course, did not.
All the traitors had a small amount of infighting.
And even some loyalists, you know, let's not...
Yeah, some of the loyalists had, like the Dark Angels.
Let's not do away with the emotional and whatever other kinds of strife they were under.
So like the White Scars had some infighting as to which way they would go, for example.
I mean, they're pretty chaotic anyway, so that doesn't surprise anyone, really. Shall we just quickly go through, I guess, the sides?
What's total... Or should we just very quickly do what's a total chaos victory? Because I think it's Horus ruling from Terra, and the Emperor slain, or as near to slain as possible?
That's actually quite a difficult question, right? I think, yeah, a successful Horus Heresy ends up with Horus overthrowing the Imperium and, I guess, de facto taking command. But I wouldn't say that that's what Chaos is necessarily after.
So not necessarily Horus, but whoever is leading the...
Yeah, Chaos just wants to see reality undone, right? So
unseating the Emperor and throwing him and throwing down Terra.
Yeah.
That's victory for Chaos. And then I guess making everything worse is clear.
Making everything worse is like the Tyranids just win.
Worse than 40k. Yeah.
The Tyranids win, or the Drukhari somehow end up on the Imperial throne or something like that.
Yeah.
some random shit.
Oops.
So should we do this in what kind of order should we do this in? Traitors?
Or should we just do traitors first?
Yeah. So we got Horus, obviously. Fulgrim.
Horus and the Sons of Horus, or the Lunuals as they were.
Fulgrim and the Emperor's Children, which is always hilarious.
Yeah.
Magnus
Angron
and the Thousand Sons.
Yes.
Perturabo and the Iron Warriors. Mortarion and the Death Guard. Lorgar, obviously very important, the Word Bearers. Conrad Kurz, who I think is quite interesting, in the Night Lords. And then, as you say, Angron and the World Eaters. And then Alfaris, Omegon, but
for these purposes, I'm counting Alfarius as a traitor. I'm counting the Alpha Legion as traitors. I know that they're more complicated than that, but they side.
Yeah.
They ostensibly side with Horus.
No, but I think, yeah. That's true. But unless you're going to suggest that you actively change Alfarius around it. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think it really matters for most of this discussion because they're so convoluted anyway.
Yes, yeah. I know. I agree with that.
So that was all of them, right? Angron, Conrad, Lorgar, Mortarion, Perturabo, Magnus, Fulgrim, and Horus. Which, of course, leaves Leman Russ of the Space Wolves, Ferrus Manus, may he rest in peace, and the Iron Hands. Vulcan, I guess, also may he rest in peace, and the Salamanders. Rogel Dawn, everyone's favourite.
Vulcan lives.
Yeah, sure. Rogel Dawn and the Imperial Fists. Robute, Rowboat, the Ultramarines.
Yeah.
Sanguinius, may he rest in peace, and the Blood Angels. Lionel Johnson, the Dark Angels. Jagatai Khan, the White Scars, and Corvus Corax. That's everyone, I think, isn't it?
Yes, that's everyone. Yeah. That's 9 again. Yeah. So those are the battle lines as drawn up by Games Workshop. So what are we gonna? Do you want to start? How are you flipping?
Very quickly, you give Ferrus Manus to the traitors and they lose instantly.
Who are you taking? It
doesn't matter. You could, I don't know. You
could give them Ferrus, not take anyone.
Literally, you can just give them Ferrus and you still lose.
Ferrus Manus is really unfortunate because his entire characterization in the Horus Heresy books is from when the authors thought they were getting 5 books to do the whole heresy.
Yeah. And so he bowed out literally early.
All of Ferrus's characterization is post-mortem by people like Gilliman being like, "Oh, mate, Ferrus, damn, he was a good general.
What a great guy he was.
What an absolute rock of the Imperium, if only he was there." And then he just dies like such a dickhead in Galaxy in Flames because he's a moron. Well, he's not a moron. Well, he is, but it's like he's overcome by his rage and all of this, which is what I say. It's all very Grecian.
Yeah, and I think this makes him a good candidate to switch sides. And in that scenario, what I'd like to think is that Fulcrum is like, "Oh, welcome, brother," and then Angron just shows up and is like, "You know what? Fuck you, mate," and just beheads him anyway.
Being angry's my thing.
I'm the angry one. Go away.
No, so I think Ferrus is actually a good candidate to flip to Chaos, like you say, because he's so close to Fulgrim and he's so frequently characterized as like being rage driven and all of that.
That is an interesting swap, actually. Ferris for Fulgrim. I think that gives you a really pretty universal Imperial victory. Which I know we said we were going to start with a Horus victory, right? But I think
I thought we were doing an Imperial.
Oh, fair enough.
We're doing a Horus victory.
Well, no, but I think if you were to flip Fulgrim and Ferris, which I think story wise would be quite compelling because you can kind of keep it the same.
Yes, I think that's true.
Yeah, I think you would probably pretty handily win.
Yes, because an uncorrupted Fulgrim is handy to have, just generally, apart from like for morale purposes, apart from anything else.
But he's a bit of an unliked douche generally, though, isn't he?
It depends, I think. He's liked by... he seems to be the only person that Ferris likes, which is wild. But he's a bit of a... Yeah.
I sort of feel like there'd be... I don't know, there'd be... strife, I feel like, between Fulgrim and someone like Sanguinius.
See, I think the problem is Sanguinius gets on with everyone. No one seems to dislike him.
Yeah, but I feel like Fulgrim would somehow hate that about him.
They're often compared in the books, Fulgrim and Sanguinius, and it's not a favourable comparison to Fulgrim because the general consensus seems to be Sanguinius does effortlessly what Fulgrim is always trying too hard to do.
Yeah. Because I've always pictured Fulgrim as like the regal one, except that he's just not as regal as Sanguinius.
Yeah, Sanguinius embodies perfection, whereas Fulgrim is striving towards it. So I think that's fair. Fulgrim is so prideful.
Yeah.
Interestingly, for a total chaos victory, my suggestion is swap Sanguinius for Fulgrim, give Sanguinius to Chaos, take Fulgrim from Chaos. You could do the same with Mortarion, but I think taking Fulgrim is a more like-for-like swap. And I reckon that absolutely solidifies a Chaos win.
Oh, that's interesting.
I think just giving them Sanguinius. You can take anyone.
Interesting.
Give them the Blood Angels. Give them Sanguinius.
Yeah, but see, I think that straight swap Fulgrim for Sanguinius. I think because Fulgrim, wants to prove himself. He wants to strive. He will throw everything, and I mean everything at Sanguinius. And it might not be enough. Don't get me wrong, but
Sanguinius will absolutely clap.
But that's
cheeks,
the thing, because a Chaos Sanguinius, I don't know if that's actually a strengthening. Which I think is something we've talked about before.
That's a big challenge there.
He's like a weird odd one out from that regard, I think. Well, it's true of a lot of them, actually, because the Demon Primarchs are universally shitter.
They do appear to be. It's an interesting one, though. I think you're right, specifically for Sanguinius, because, he is so at the pinnacle of being, right? He's sort of... blowing smoke up his arse here, but you know what I mean. He's literally the embodiment of angelic splendor.
And the problem is he falls to Khorne, right? Khorne wants him.
He could fall to Slaanesh.
Yeah, but Khorne wants him that much, though.
I think he either falls to Khorne or he falls undivided.
Because this is another part of the debate, I suppose, right? If we're doing a swap, do they have to align with the people you're swapping them out for?
I don't think they
creates a massive imbalance, though, right? Because ultimately it's all very balanced, isn't it? Well, there's
each
9
of the four gets one. Each of the four gets one. There's Horus and Lorgar doing.
There's Undivided.
Undivided.
No, each of the four gets. Oh, I suppose Lorgar is. I was gonna say each of the four gets 2, and then Horus is Undivided. But
no, each of the four gets 1. Lorgar and Horus are undivided chaos. Perturabo is non-chaos, as is Kurz, and Alpharius is just weird.
Do we not think Horus has just got some Zinchi stuff going on?
Well, he explicitly doesn't worship chaos.
Yeah, but
he doesn't embrace.
It feels like something
gifts.
Zinch would say.
But yeah, I mean, there's especially with all of his future sight stuff, there's an argument there, which is why there's an argument that Sanguinius could fall to Zinch, because Sanguinius has future sight as well. The only one that I struggle
actually,
to see
so maybe
Sanguinius.
Handing over Sanguinius to Chaos actually results in an Imperial victory because the Chaos gods themselves fight over him so much that the whole thing just collapses.
The only way that I could see it working is you create a civil war between Team Horus and Team Sanguinius for the big chair. And they burn themselves out that way. Because Horus himself doesn't want Sanguinius to turn. He is focused the gambit in the Cygnus cluster, where he sends like all the Blood Angels to try and get them all killed, even though Erebus and Lorgar are plotting to turn Sanguinius, is to get Sanguinius killed because he doesn't want the competition. And he is sure that if Sanguinius turns, all 4 of the Chaos Gods will turn to Sanguinius rather than Horus. And so you don't get souped up Horus, you get souped up Sanguinius.
Which is the biggest con, really, isn't it? I don't know. I mean, I could see why. But Sanguinius is such a weird one in that he so obviously portrays mortality. More so than any of the others. I don't know what that means, but it means something.
The other suggestion I have for a total... Where's your head going? Sorry, I've got a few things written down here, but where's your head going? What swaps are you thinking about?
Well, what the meme swap is obviously swap Perturabo and Rogel Dawn. And then you know what? I think you probably do actually get the same outcome, but somehow just worse. Because you're left with Perturabo and not Rogel Dawn.
I think there's an argument that you either get the same but worse. Yeah, I think you probably get the same but worse.
You get the same but
just
worse,
because Perturabo is just grumpier, so everything that he does to defend Terra is nastier than what Dorn does.
One that I've got an outside shot of is possibly Rowboat for Horus.
I've got a big question
Lion
mark around
for Horus. I think Lion for Horus is quite appealing to me.
What, so Chaos wins?
For Chaos wins, I think, yeah. Because I think the Lion is just a little bit more practical, more pragmatic.
So I think what the Lion gets you is a bit of sort of martial aspect as well. Like
I feel like the whole heresy would just be somehow more efficient, and they wouldn't dilly-dally with all these plots. They would just literally just nuke the Imperium, I think.
Yeah, I think...
Plus all the weapons they've got. My goodness, can you imagine?
Yeah, I think either the Lion or Guilliman for slightly different reasons.
Yeah, Guilliman is just peak efficiency. I think they would take Terra before anyone even knew what was going on.
He would just run that war better.
Yeah. But God, it'd be fucking boring, wouldn't it?
True.
He'd somehow turn chaos into the most boring thing that's ever happened to the universe.
He'd just use it efficiently.
Yeah. You just see the Eldar go, huh, okay, that's okay. That'll work for us. This is a win for everyone.
Yeah.
He'd be Guilliman would be the kind of guy who sends Nurgle paperwork. Just like, can you just please, like, look at these figures?
The challenge though, if you're giving Horus over to the Imperium, is are either the Lion or Guilliman strong enough characters to pull all of the traitors together?
I think you slightly run the risk with the Lion of Yeah, a Chaos Lion, I think, would kind of nuke his potential allies if they weren't completely compliant. So you might shoot yourself in the foot.
I think that would be a risk. I think
Robot would he would Excel spreadsheet all the others so hard that they would just sort of be compelled to follow. They would see it as like Tzeentchian magic almost, I think.
Yeah, that's fair, I think. But I think that would be the big challenge are either of them capable of building the coalition that Horus builds?
Yeah, because the Lion just doesn't have Horus's charisma, so that's definitely a concern. But he's got that sort of rugged quality that I think would work for Chaos legions.
He is very respected, I think. Yeah. So that might do it.
So that's the thing. If he can unite the same group of people that Horus did, I think he stands a better chance of winning, but he would struggle more than Horus to sort of get there.
Yes, I think that's fair. I think he'd be more able to put his tools to effective use.
Creates also weird wolf fuckery at the end, though, right? Because there's this sort of idea that the Lion is... Maybe, I don't really want to say like a blank, but...
Yeah, he's fun, warp funny.
He's warp funny to the point... Well, this is pre-forest walking, I suppose, because that's made him even funnier. But I could sort of see a clash between the Emperor and Lion ending in the Emperor trying to like just annihilate him, and the Lion's like, and what, mate? Doesn't work on me.
Well, yeah, because you've got to figure in things like the Watchers with the Lion.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, that would be weird.
So yeah, even if the Lion doesn't quite win the war, he would probably still advance on Terra and have a big showdown with Big E, and
I think
who knows
Lion gets very close. I think, and he also doesn't. Well, maybe the challenge though is he doesn't do a huge amount during the heresy for the loyalists. So you're buffing the traitor side.
Yeah, that's true.
Arguably. But you're not really weakening the loyalists.
You're not massively weakening the loyalists. Well, he spends so much time hunting Kurz that maybe Kurz can actually do something interesting.
That would be the argument, wouldn't it? The Thramas Crusade doesn't happen.
It is true that you're not necessarily weakening the Imperial side. But I thought that was quite interesting to play with as like a.
I think I think the same challenge probably is there for Guilliman as well. Other than Guilliman distracting every single word bearer at Calth. Like, he's just cut off, but everyone on the Chaos side, Horus is scared of Guilliman. And I think this is where the Legions come into play. Because he's just got so many...
The Ultramarines are huge, yeah.
Damn space.
Which again is true of the Dark Angels as well, I suppose. So that they have that going for them.
True. That is true. The Ultramarines are the largest Legion.
Officially.
I think unofficially, they just are.
I thought it was like... Because I just happened to see those numbers earlier when I was looking some of this stuff up. I just saw the Ultramarines were 166,000. And the Dark Angels were said to be around 200,000.
Ultramarines are like 200. Ultramarines are like 230.
That's possible. I mean, yeah.
This is pre-Calth as well, so I don't know how many died at Calth.
And I couldn't really tell you where I saw those numbers. It just happened. Like, it just sort of caught at the edge of my vision.
That feels true.
But yeah, so like weirdly very similar kind of vibes if you swap them, right? As in both Robot and Lion for Horus would be quite similar outcomes, I suspect.
It's weird that you're swapping for Horus, though. Are you just putting them in charge?
So okay, that's maybe fair. I think Lion for Horus would work because I just don't see Lion and Horus together working. I think there's a shout for maybe swapping Robo and Lorgar.
I think that would be. You sort of have to assume that someone in Guilliman's Legion does the the Erebus role,
Yeah.
I guess, in that case.
But I think that Lorgar is actually quite a useful person to have, right? Because he does what he does so effectively. So maybe the easy win is you swap Robo for, I don't know, Kurz, because Kurz does nothing.
Yeah, that's the problem. You can swap for Kurz fairly easily.
And then he just fucks about as an Imperial loyalist, doing nothing useful.
So I've spoiler for later in the episode, I've got Kurz as a loyalist in my make things even worse.
I think that's right? If you were to swap Rabute for Kurz, what would happen is you strengthen the Heresy because now you've got a really great tactician.
Yeah.
And you weaken the Imperial forces because Lionel Johnson is still going to be hunting Conrad Kurz.
Yeah.
So you've given the biggest legion really away, and the second biggest is still just hunting nothing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I would agree with you. That is a sort of make everything worse. You swap Robo with Kurz. God, that's bad, isn't it?
Well, no, because Lion's not hunting Kurz. If Lion and Kurz are both loyalists,
I think he still might, because I just don't back Kurz to make any kind of decent decision. As you say, he's not really fallen to chaos, right? He's just weird.
No, and there's that excellent quote from one of the Blood Angels about how, like, even if the heresy hadn't happened, I was always coming for you and your legion type thing.
Yeah.
Like, they're just not like. So I've got, for making everything worse, I've got swap Kurz for the Khan.
Swap Kurz for the Khan. I think that's a heresy victory, no?
I don't know if it's actually a heresy victory, because I don't know that the White Scars on Terra would tip the balance. I feel like they're probably similar, like not as effective as more effective than the Night Lords, but not that much more.
Maybe I'm just not backing Kurz's influence enough. Yeah, maybe.
Kurz, like, also goes toe-to-toe with Sanguinius and doesn't die, which makes him, one of only 2 Primarchs in the list who can say that. Like, he on his own is really, really useful. And
you say that as though Sanguinius beat anyone. Killed anyone.
He kills Angron. He beats Angron.
It doesn't kill him, though, does he?
Well, he's a demon. He can't kill demons. Only the Emperor can do that.
So actually, the only fights that mattered, Sanguinius didn't do anything effective. In fact, one of them, he died.
Yeah. Shut up. Lionel Johnson gets killed by a baseline human. Shut up.
He's not dead, though, is he, mate?
He goes to sleep for 10,000 years. It's functionally the same.
Actually, yeah. Well, anyway, we won't get into that. Just thought another meme one would be swapping. Would probably be swapping Korax with Kurz, because it's just what the fuck does that do?
Yeah, I've got total Imperium victory. You've got to get Perturabo out of the traitors and into the loyalists, and you can give up any of Ferris, Korax, and Vulcan for him, because they all do fuck all.
You can't give up Vulcan. Not because he does much, but it's Vulcan. You can't do that.
There's no way. There's no way Traitor Vulcan works conceptually.
Exactly.
It just doesn't make sense.
Comes home and makes dinner. Doesn't. I don't know. Vulcan's immune from being pulled into the traitor legions.
It's just too nice. I think Perturabo for Korax gets you an absolute Imperium victory without really trying.
The thing is, yeah, if you swap Perturabo for anyone who isn't Dawn, you're probably just not ever going to lose Terra.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I mean,
you have the 2 best people at sieges on the same side, so it's a little bit cheating.
They might just not agree, and like in a really detrimental fashion. That's the only way that they don't hold Terra.
Yeah.
If they somehow try to just spite each other, but I think they're ultimately like realists. Right? We do actually want to win this fight, so we're just going to make this the most impregnable place anyone's ever seen.
In order to have a loyalist Perturabo, you almost need him to have a realization that I'm my own worst enemy. Because obviously his big thing is just wow, I always got the hardest fights and no one ever said thank you.
Yeah, but you swap Perturab into the traitor, the Loyalist Legion, sorry. You have Big E chat to him for literally 2 minutes to be like, there, you're quite important to me, and then boom, done.
You got the hardest fights because you were the only one who could win them.
Exactly,
boom,
yeah.
Done. Job done.
Total
Even
Imperial
if it's
victory.
not true.
Exactly, it doesn't matter.
There you go. We just solved the Horus Heresy. And once again, it comes down to Jimmy Space not being a shit dad.
Yeah, but then he wouldn't be entertained, and that's ultimately what the Horus Heresy is about, right? Jimmy Space wants to just live a little.
That's quite the opinion.
It's not wrong, though, is it?
I didn't say you were wrong.
So I feel some very obvious mentions that we haven't talked about yet are Magnus, because I think we're both too scared to touch Magnus. And the other ones I think are quite interesting are Mortarion, because I just don't know what he would look like as a loyalist. And Leman Russ. I feel we haven't talked about Leman Russ going traitor.
We haven't. I've got a sort of... What happens if you swap Russ and Magnus?
What happens if you swap Russ and Magnus? I think if you put Magnus on the Imperial side, that means that Magnus has been listened to by the Emperor. That's the only way I can sort of conceptualize that.
Or he doesn't do... This is like... The two ways you get Magnus on the Imperial side are either he's listened to when he does his boo-boo, or he doesn't do the boo-boo.
Oh, he doesn't do the boo-boo, yeah. But both cases are quite good.
Yeah, in either case, Jimmy Space isn't stuck in the Golden Throne for the siege. Cool. Imperium wins.
That's kind of it, really, isn't it? Yeah. I think swapping Magnus for literally anyone would probably be...
Unless you can somehow have Magnus still breaks the webway, but in so doing is listened to by the Emperor, but the Emperor is still trapped in the chair.
Well...
And so Magnus is essentially given a final ultimatum, which is get your ass to Terra and defend me. But at that point, the warning still gets out. So I don't know.
That, but I also sort of, I would back Imperial Magnus to kind of go to the Eldar and be like, hey guys, I broke your webway thing.
Can you fix this?
And then they'll be like, fucking monkey. We'll fix it. I feel like he'd be versatile enough to realize that maybe we should include non-humanity in like the galaxy's biggest struggle it's ever been seen. Well, maybe not ever, but it's seen in a long time.
Maybe.
I don't know. I feel he's sober enough for that, potentially, because he's so weird and arcane. We get like the Black Library involved, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely possible. It's definitely possible.
I just don't see a scenario where if you give Magnus the Red to the Imperium isn't better off.
That's the great problem of not problem. It's the great tragedy of Magnus's fall, isn't it? Is he's so apart from everyone else.
Yeah.
That it's really lucky that he doesn't get that involved in the heresy.
Yeah, well, he's just that one brother who's like, I don't really have that much in common. I'm just gonna do my own thing. Oh, yeah. I broke everything.
Oopsie.
I threw the PlayStation out of the window, and now everyone's upset.
Loyalist Mortarion, I can't make it work. He's too creepy.
The only book I've ever read with Mortarion is where he falls, I think. And even before he shows up, he's just, as in before he falls, he's just super creepy, as you say.
Yeah, it doesn't make... I can make most of the traitors not traitors in my head. Like, I can do it for most of them. I feel like Mortarion is just too caricature-y, almost.
Yeah, he's like Nurgle walking, right? When he's...
Yeah. when he's a loyalist.
Oh, I love poisons. Oh, well, yeah, there you go.
Excuse me, I'm just going to drink this poison to prove how strong and tough I am. Okay, dude.
So he might be the sort of, make everything... The Imperium might win, but you make it worse. I think if you swap Mortarion with... I don't know, Ferrus...
If you swap Mortarion with Ferrus, then Mortarion dies on Istvan. Like...
No, because he would just not fight Fulgrim.
I suppose he doesn't really have any friends, so he's not going to have that sense of betrayal that Ferrus has. That's true.
I think... Well, he might fight Fulgrim for a bit, but he it's the same thing. Like, it's a coin flip if two Primarchs fight, right? So
it's always a coin flip, yeah.
So, but I think Mortarion is a sort of neutral enough to just nope out of there if he's not winning.
Yeah, he's not going to stand and fight that early before he ascends.
He'll throw some like poison bombs, and then Fulgrim will be like, "How are you not a Nurglite? You know,
why are you not on our side?
What is this shit?" So I think you swap Ferrus for Mortarion, and it's just the same but worse. Probably true if you swapped him for Corax. Issues. I don't really know what Corax does.
Corax is so weird. He's like the Raven Guard are a bit stealthy. Corax has this weird power where he can just be invisible if he wants to be, or not invisible. Just like people just don't notice him,
which
really
works
weird.
Even outside the law.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is funny because Raven Guard are actually quite cool. Corax is just such an unknown to me.
He's there at Istvan, and
Is he?
Yeah, he nearly kills Lorgar before Kurz turns up and nearly kills Corax.
Oh, fucking hell. Okay. Completely escaped me.
And then he has this weird, like, probably one of the worst Horus Heresy books. He goes from Istvan to Terra, basically argues his way into an audience with the Emperor. The Emperor is like, here's the key to the Primarch project. Go and make new Space Marines fast. He then takes that technology back to Deliverance, starts working on this new batch of Space Marines that they can grow full-grown Space Marines in like 3 days, basically, rather than how long the process normally takes. But then somehow the Alpha Legion get involved and introduce warp fuckery into the science, so all of the new Space Marines like simultaneously turn into weird degenerate monsters. So they destroy the project. The end. Whole story. And as far as I can tell, that's Corax's in. And so then, but like, that's Corax's entire contribution to the Horus Heresy, as far as I can tell. I don't know. It's just weird.
So thinking about this, right? We have Corax who does that, so nothing. We have Lion who spends ages chasing nothing. Vulcan, as you say, doing nothing. Ferrus being dead. How did the Imperialists win again?
Because they have
just Dorn and Sanguinius.
Sanguinius, Dorn, and the Khan.
And I guess Jimmy Space.
And Jimmy Space. And yeah, it's Dorn, and it's Dorn having long enough to prepare on Terra, and then also Sanguinius being there and like soloing Titans.
I hate to say it, but based on that, you have to replace Horus. Like, he's clearly completely incapable.
Well, there's a really interesting... I can't remember which book it's from, but in one of the books, Horus basically bemoans, like, on every coin flip, I got the shit, brother. So I got Perturabo rather than Dorn. I got Angron rather than Sanguinius. I got Fulgrim rather than Sanguinius. I got Mortarion rather than literally anyone else. Like, what is it? All I have is monsters and broken things. Is I think the quote.
Yeah.
So like, on it, yeah, on every coin flip, they get shit.
He didn't even keep the best of his own legion.
Yeah, no. Well,
his own Mournival, like the best of them didn't turn.
He loses half of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel it's quite easy to make the Imperials win. I guess because they do anyway.
You just need to strengthen the Imperial side by taking, unless you want to be probably Perturabo or Magnus, or take Lorgar. Just take Lorgar.
Take Lorgar, and nothing happens.
200,000 Space Marines. You don't have the devastation at Calth. You don't have the Ruin Storm that traps Guilliman. Like, a Loyalist Lorgar, the hole that a Loyalist Lorgar leaves in the traitors from a strategic point of view is huge. Like, he's not going to be particularly useful on the Imperial side.
But as we said, I think
the traitors.
I think a Lorgar for Rabute swap would be quite interesting.
I think that's very, very bad for the Loyalists.
I think so as well. I think that's a scenario. That's like a non-comedic swap that might get you a heresy win, a heretic win.
Yeah, I think that gets you a total chaos victory. Yeah. If you have Guilliman and Horus. Horus basically appoints Guilliman as his 2IC and goes, Guilliman runs this war, I tell Guilliman what I want. Go. I think they win. And
that's ultimately... And if you leave Lorgar in place and you give the heretics one of Rabute, the Lion, Sanguinius, you probably make them win. Russ is an interesting one. Again, I think Russ again is too blunt a tool for Horus to use well.
But he uses Angron incredibly effectively, who's the bluntest of all the tools.
But Angron gets killed all the fucking time.
It's true, he does just die and come back all the time.
Which, it worked. It's not long-term strategically effective.
I don't know about Russ. Russ is really interesting. I just don't know
what a heretic Russ would look like, really.
Just really lean into the Wolfen side.
Let's say we really try to stack the deck and we swap Russ for Kurz?
I was going to say Alpharius. If you really want to
stack the deck, let's
give
say
the Imperials Alpharius,
and then they'll sort of leaving Russ for Alpharius. That, or maybe Angron. It'd be quite interesting to swap Angron and Leman Russ, because I think a Loyalist Angron would be really fucking weird.
It'd be really hard to use, wouldn't it?
He'd just be like, nah.
Angron, we need you to go and stand on that wall. No,
I want to stand on that wall. Okay, fine. You do you, mate.
Everyone move around because Angron's being Angron again. What does a traitor Russ give Horus?
This might be a controversial opinion. Maybe it won't be controversial.
Gives him a Primarch killer.
You give him a Primarch killer. I think you also just give him better World Eaters.
Well, you see, I think you do. I think you do. You give him controlled World Eaters. Yeah. World Eaters that you can... There's the... dredging up the depths of my memory now. There's something in the lore where Russ takes it upon himself to try and explain to Angron what's going wrong in Angron's Legion. And so he basically starts fighting Angron, and the world, this is before the Heresy, and the World Eaters and the Wolves start fighting, and Angron wins the duel between Russ and Angron, and is like, I've won, see, I'm clearly the best, la 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 la. And Russ is like, mate, look around. And he is completely surrounded by thousands of wolves all pointing their heavy bolters at him. And Russ is like, you might have won the duel, but I've won the battle. And that's what you keep missing.
Yeah.
And obviously, because Angron's thick as pig shit, it doesn't go in.
In mitigating circumstances, but yeah.
Well, this is Angron tells the story to Lorgar as like, Russ is weak, I beat him. And Lorgar's like, how are you? You cannot possibly be that
I need
stupid.
this done. So that I think would be quite an interesting swap then, yeah. Russ for Angron, and I think you get a heretic victory. If you use Russ the same way that Angron is sort of used, because Russ is just better, right?
Russ is a less destructive Angron.
Yeah, he's better.
Like he is not as effective a weapon as Angron is, but Russ is fairly certain. Like, Russ takes a dent out of chaosed up Horus and only doesn't kill him, allegedly, because in the moment, like, Horus seems to come back to himself and Russ doesn't want to kill his brother, which is stupid of Russ, but, you know.
The issue is you take away... If we're going to say he becomes a Khorne follower, you take away a lot of what makes the Space Wolves great, though, I think. Which is true of any faction, probably, because Khorne is just so basic.
Well, I think Russ becomes a Tzeentch follower. I think.
Oh, what does it even look like? That's hurting my brain.
Well, they've got the change in the Legion, right? The becoming werewolf type thing. You've got the superstition of all the rune casting and all of that you could hype up a bit. I think you could have a Tzeentchian Russ quite nicely.
Yeah.
Maybe. Or obviously, like, Khorne Russ just makes the most sense because he just goes full berserker. But I think if he does that, then you've just got shit Angron. You need some of Russ's cunning.
You've got slightly shitter Angron, but you've got much better World Eaters. That's the point. And I think that tips the balance.
Have you got better World Eaters, though?
If you do.
If the Wolves go Khorne, don't they just end up just like World Eaters? If they lose the discipline that makes them so effective.
Maybe. But it is one of those swaps that does make the Imperium worse, I think.
Losing Russ and gaining Angron makes the Imperium worse.
Yeah.
It absolutely does. I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
And it does give, like I say, it gives Horus a very effective Primarch killer.
Yeah.
In Russ, because that is what Russ does.
A funny swap would be Dorn for Angron.
I really like the idea of...
Like, last line of defense for Terra is just Angron and the World Eaters.
Yeah, I really like the idea of Khorne Dorn, though. I think
Khorne Dorn?
Really Khorne Dorn. Good. I think that's really good. That's a very, very funny swap, though. This is the other thing. If you take Perturabo off the traitors lose. If you take Dorn off the loyalists lose. Unless you swap Dorn and Perturabo, in which case nothing changes.
Exactly, yeah. Khorne Dorn. Nah, that would be funny. I don't see it. I think he's a Slaneshi, if anything.
No,
because he's so he just loves excess, right? Bit more armor plating on that wall. Like, I think he just he's so into it. He's Slanesh all over.
They're definitely pushing him. So the idea of Dorn falling to Khorne is in The End and the Death. It's the temptation that he's faced with on the Vengeful Spirit.
I see, but he doesn't fall. If Slanesh had shown up, he'd be like, oh, yeah. Give me all the armor.
More armor plated.
Yeah. Whoa, that defensive cannon. My goodness, look at that.
How big are your sandbags?
Exactly. Yeah.
No, it's an interesting way of looking at Khorne, but you're at Dorn. Sorry, but you're probably right. But I just don't think Dorn is capable of turning traitor.
He just doesn't seem to comprehend it, right? Like, you could ask him, like, "Do you want to turn?" It's like, what does that even mean?
I don't understand.
Yeah, I'm here to defend the Emperor. Like, I mean, what do you want me to do?
Yeah, this is literally the reason for my existence. But I mean, Dorn is the guy who is so supportive of the Emperor that when the Emperor issues the Edict of Nicaea and bans the librarians from existing. Dorn locks up every single librarian in the Imperial Fists Legion in a 2 meter by 2 meter cell forever.
How did he get them in there? That's the real question now.
Well, maybe it's 3 meters by 3 meters. He just not in the same cell, you dumbass.
You'd say lock all the librarians in a 2 meter by 2 meter cell. I was like, that is impressive.
He just shoves the last one in.
Yeah. He just hammers them in there.
There's no scope for interpretation. Sanguinius takes each librarian to one side and is like, this doesn't diminish you. You're still a blood angel.
Yeah.
Your weapons are still your weapons. This is that was just one, and we're putting it back in the locker type thing. Dorn, no, get in fucking prison.
Whereas the Lion's just like, yeah, nah.
we will be ignoring that rule.
He could very easily be a traitor, couldn't he?
The Lion. Yeah.
Except he's not. This is the weird thing about him. He feels like such an obvious candidate for a traitor because he's such a rogue. And yet he's always said to just be one of the least likely to fall. It's very strange.
Yeah, it was when he's chasing Kurz around Thramus, and Kurz is like, people will always wonder where you were during the heresy. They'll, even if they accept you back, they'll always be whispering behind your back. And Lion's like, I'm sorry. And Kurz goes, for what? And then Lion stabs him in the back. It's like, for this. And then just whispers in Kurz's ear, loyalty is its own reward.
Yeah. It's a good line,
it's a very good line, but also, you're the most traitorous loyalist. You just are. You just ignore all the rules. You give no shits what anyone thinks. And you just go off and do your own thing.
Yeah, you do wonder if the Lion were to join the heretics, he might just go on a random crusade.
It's entirely possible that the Lion joins the heretics and nothing changes.
Horus is like, Lion, you attack the right flank. Lion, where are you? It's just like, I'm halfway around the fucking galaxy, man. And what?
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself.
I'm not on the Emperor's side, but I'm not on your side either.
I am nobody. I'm going to join the Tau Empire.
Right. I think we've done it. So
yeah, so it's
total Imperium victory. Other than getting Perturabo and Dorn on the same side, which just instantly wins it for the side that they're on. Total Imperium victory.
Lorgar and Magnus.
Lorgar or Magnus, yeah.
Lorgar.
Total
Magnus,
Chaos victory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Total Chaos victory. Yeah, what did we say? Rebute.
Rebute for... Yeah.
Rebute for kind of anyone, really. Anyone. I think if you have Rebute and Lorgar on the same team, you stand a good chance.
Yeah, I think that's right. So if you just do Rebute from Mortarion, for example.
I mean, to be fair, anyone from Mortarion. you give the heretics a good chance.
I quite like the idea that actually if you give the heretics Sanguinius, it makes them weaker.
Unless it's Horus, I think you're right.
Unless you do a Sanguinius for Horus swap, in which case they get a total victory straight off the bat. Is Horus irrelevant in his own heresy? Because you keep giving him to the loyalists in order to make Chaos win.
I mean, ultimately, all Horus really achieves himself is he kills Sanguinius.
Which is a big deal. He kills a very tired Sanguinius.
Is it a big deal? Because the issue with killing Sanguinius is that you've left the Blood Angels are all also just annoyingly sanguine.
Yeah, you kill Sanguinius and 10,000 years later, you still got Dante kicking around.
And anytime anyone meets Dante, they're like, oh, yeah,
this guy's top.
This guy's top quality. So, so you've killed Sanguinius and everyone's a bit sad, but you've left a really great legion behind. Well, the whole vampire thing is a little bit of a...
That's fine. Pay no notice of that.
So that's what Horus does, and I guess he wins the Emperor, but then we get into that whole...
He pulls the heresy together, right? He builds the coalition. But he's not the only one capable of doing that.
But he also
Like,
builds
there's
the
nothing-
coalition for the wrong reasons. He builds it because he's effectively sad that, people don't rate him. He's got a bit of a sort of Perturabo issue about him.
Yeah, he does. That's very true.
Whereas I think a lot of the other Primarchs wouldn't really care. Right? If you put Lee Morris in charge of the heresy, like, he's just going to be the best damn heretic you've ever seen. Because he backs himself.
Yeah. No, it's just an interesting one, isn't it? Because obviously Horus ends up as the linchpin of this great conflict that sets the scene for the next 10,000 years of history. And actually, other than wounding the Emperor, which he's really only capable of doing because he's smoking all of the chaos crack, like, he's genuinely kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, smoking all the chaos crack, and I think at that point, every fallen Primarch would have been able to wound the Emperor.
I think that's right. I think whoever is leading the heresy at that moment is able to strike that blow.
Yeah, because I think the Emperor will always have a moment of pause of like, really?
Do I have to? Yeah,
Same
no,
with
I think
Mortarion,
you're
who would
right.
look at it like, what the fuck? What are you? What have I made? Please die.
How? Which aspect of me are you?
Yeah. Literally the toilet humor of the aspects.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Horus, I feel like I've said this before, that the Horus is kind of irrelevant.
I think I'm coming around to it because obviously we did the Primarch tier rating way back on episode 3 or episode 4.
Yeah. Yeah, you put Horus way
And
higher than me, yeah.
I had Horus top, I think.
You did, actually, yeah. Whereas I
And
put
I think
Sanguinius
I'm
top,
coming
which was surprising.
Yeah. Surprise for everyone, I think. But I think I'm coming around to the idea that he's not irrelevant. Like, there's a particular mix of pride, ambition, and something else. Words have just
I
completely
think
failed me.
conflict, and this is going back to the point that,
Yeah.
only
Yes,
half his Mournival actually fall because they're all prideful warriors.
Yeah,
And they think
yeah.
for themselves, right? And like half of them are like, no, actually, I do quite want to serve the Emperor.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. Like, that's unique to Horus, I think.
Because throughout, like,
That's
there's moments, right, where it seems like he's sort of coming back to himself, and
Yeah.
obviously he's too far gone by the end. But I think there wouldn't be very many people you'd replace him with who would have that same sort of struggle, and that's why you might get a more effective heresy.
Yes. Yes, that's right. The thing that makes Horus fall is actually the thing that holds the heresy back in some ways.
Like a fallen Sanguinius, I mean, that's quite literally the devil, right?
Yes. If Sanguinius falls, you just have Lucifer.
You just have a sixth chaos god, ultimately.
Yeah, there's no question about who is the Dark King. Oh no, it's Sanguinius.
And that is how the Horned Rat was born. There you go. Or maybe Gork or Mork.
Both. I'm conscious we've been going for quite a long time, but you've got something written here, and I just want to... We may need to revisit it. General Jimmy Space episode. Do you want to talk me through what you've written here?
Well, so because you'd written "Can you swap Horus?" and I think we've proven that would actually work in the heresy's favor. So my brain sort of said, well, the opposite of that is, can you swap Big E himself? Can you swap the Emperor for anyone? And I guess in that scenario, get an Imperial victory, but not the Imperium, because the Imperium is the side the Emperor's on. You know what I mean? Can you get a good outcome if you give the Emperor to the other side?
Anti-chaos victory. Yeah.
Has to be no, right?
No, I think.
Does it has to be no? The issue is, right, if we're saying that Horus stands in the way of his own heresy, I think the Emperor would stand in the way of his own heresy even more. Because he's still anathema to the Chaos Gods.
I think, yeah, that's the problem.
So you get this huge civil war that then also has chaos influence. So you get like this three-way war.
It's like if the Emperor actually tries to purge the Primarchs, right? The Great Crusade is won, and the Emperor goes, you know what? I don't actually need Mortarion or Angron.
You flip it round, right? You literally
Corax.
say, I now no longer need them, and then Horus, as a loyalist to the ideals, goes, this guy is bad.
Yeah. And then chaos starts to influence some of them, but not all of them. And there'd be some influence. It would be so weird, but
because also he is ultimately, well, depending on what Magnus does as well, he's also just very much stuck, right?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Like, it all fundamentally boils down to if Jimmy Space can stand up, game over.
But is he stuck? Because would he
care?
I just I mean, him falling to chaos just makes no sense. So what would happen if he? Yeah, he always has to be anti-chaos, I think. Right?
He has to be anti-chaos. So the only way it works is a three-way civil war, where you've got like Jimmy Space, Dorn, and Russ, and maybe the Lion, basically, on one side, and then you've got like Horus Sanguinius, Guilliman, maybe someone random like Vulcan, and then you've got your like monsters and broken things side that falls to chaos. But so then the real question is there any combination of Primarchs that could take out Jimmy Space?
I think if you put all 20 against him, you're still going to struggle.
I think he still wins, doesn't he? The only ones who are going to be capable of giving him pause are going to be Magnus, and like Magnus plus Sanguinius working together. But I don't think so.
I don't know. I've got a weird pet theory about Sanguinius that I think if Sanguinius were to ever try to fight the Emperor, it just wouldn't. That makes sense. I think Sanguinius is so much the likeness of that aspect of the Emperor that it would just unmake him somehow.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a bit like we've talked about this in the Dresden Files a lot, right? Sort of these mantles of power, that sort of concept. I think Sanguinius' mantle is so unbelievably powerful that it really severely limits him in what he can do with respect to the Emperor.
That's potentially true. But I think we'll need to visit that in our What the Hell is Jimmy Space episode.
Let us know what you think Jimmy or Jane Space actually is. And then, making things worse. Turns out he just.
I think a loyalist curse makes things worse because, like, flaying people just becomes even more normal in the Imperium.
It's just so weird.
He's just so bizarre.
Yeah, loyalist curse would definitely make just everything worse.
Yeah, or loyalist Mortarion, as you said. Just like the Imperium gets too into poison.
Yeah, but I almost feel like you could ignore a loyalist Mortarion more than you could a loyalist curse.
Yeah, a loyalist curse is hard to ignore because when you're trying to ignore him, he turns up and cuts you.
Exactly, whereas Mortarion's probably just stuck on Barbarous and like, oh, another potion. Yeah.
Lovely poisonous mushrooms this time.
They're just all the astropaths are just told to like take a really wide line around that area.
If Mortarion only ever gets through to the answering phone, it's fine.
Just let it ring once, and that's it. That way we've called him. We don't need him. Yeah. But yeah, I think we can leave it at that. Poor Mortarion.
Leave it at that.
He's such a cool model as well.
Yeah, he is. He's just so weird and so random, and I don't like him. Anyway, thanks for listening to this episode of Expertise is Overrated. No doubt, we've said some things that were either objectively wrong or downright offensive. As ever, feel free to let us know. Rate the podcast and leave us a comment, or drop us an email at expertiseisoverrated@gmail.com, tweet us at zeroexpertise, check out our website expertiseisoverrated.podbean.com, or come join us on our Discord server.
If you're lucky, we might just argue with you in one of our upcoming episodes. And if you're really lucky, we might call you an idiot. Come back next time for some more absolute nonsense.